going on? Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, dope. I'm so terrible with all this computer stuff.
I am too. The interview I had right before yours, the link wasn't working, and I'm like, how can the literal link to this interview not be working? So I'm the same way. Don't even worry about it.
I totally get it. I've done so many Zoom things this year, and I've had every possible thing that you can imagine happen, from links not working to things freezing. Or I mean, it's look, 2020's been a shit show. We all know it. It is what
Yeah,
it is.
let's accept it. But is it really a Zoom if something doesn't go wrong? So, by definition, I think something goes wrong every time.
I mean, I just look forward to I just love all of the news clips I see once a week of people getting caught naked on Zoom meetings, where I'm like, guys, you have one job. Just
I
put your
know.
fucking clothes on and be an adult, for God's sakes. And they can't even manage to do that. It just, oh God, I was dying laughing the last one with the guy in New York City who got caught. And I'm like, what? Dude, there's a time and a place in your life to do things. It's not when you're at a meeting with all your colleagues, you sick bastard. Come on.
Yeah. My favorite one, it was during the election. There was a very high profile lawyer talking about the fraud and or the lack of fraud, I should say. And his son came in, and the son immediately left. It was oh my gosh. It was great though. I'll have to find it and send it.
I didn't see that one, but it's just, to me, it just goes to show it doesn't matter what we do as humans. We're just all moronic, because something as simple as just sitting down for a Zoom meeting can't even go as planned because people can't keep their shit together. You know what I
I
mean?
know. Honestly, I have those qualities with pride, though I've accepted it. So,
No,
but
me too. Look, I feel you. It's the same thing. Look, I tell people all the time, I'm the biggest idiot you'll ever meet, and I'm proud of it. I got a goofy sense of humor. I will always be a child at heart. I'm how do I always I always tell people, I'm the most immature person you'll ever meet.
I love that. I say the same thing, and now I am so highly regretting not wearing my kid makeup for you with all my sparkles and my tattoos. Oh my gosh.
Hey, you know what? It's okay. It just gives us a reason to do it again the next time. You know what I mean?
That's true. And by then I'll hopefully have it perfected. Because it's definitely not perfected right now. But I'm so excited to talk to you. Thank you for taking time to do this. I can't remember if I told you, but The Circle was my favorite show in quarantine. I mean, it still is. We're still in quarantine, but I watched the whole series with my mom in a few days, and we really, really, really enjoyed you. And I specifically enjoyed you and your just your vulnerability and your realness, because I feel correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel for men that is something very hard to do with society, to be emotional and open up. So I'm so glad you shared that side with yourself. Was it hard at all to do that, knowing that you were legit being filmed?
No, to tell you the truth, for me, that comes very natural. I've always been that way. I think that comes from the way I was raised. I have the most amazing mother and father, the most amazing family, and I am a clone of my mom in so many ways. And, we're both the type, we cry on everything, every movie, I've just always been the type that is never afraid or ever shies away from being vulnerable and, telling people how I feel. I mean, it's sort of like the joke with any girl I've ever dated. I'm the girl in the relationship. I'm the one who gets emotional. I'm the one who cries, who gets upset, and sort of just puts my heart out there. But I've always just grown up with the attitude that, a real man is someone who isn't afraid to show his sensitive side and show his heart. And I've never understood the mentality most men have of being afraid to open that side. That's never, there's some things in life, it makes sense, you know what I mean? That has never made sense to me. And to me, it even goes back to, I remember being a kid in, let's say third or fourth grade, just being a really young kid. I was a kid who was still to this day, I love my mom, I love my dad, I'm proud of this mama's boy. And then you had the typical boys like, Mom, don't touch it, it's gross, my friends can see. That's never been me. So, when I went on the show, I always tell people, I honestly, it was the biggest happy accident of my life. I had no expectation of ever winning. I never thought of it. It never entered my brain. Never was like what this can do for my life, my career. I mean, you know, I knew that if that did happen, it could do all those things, but I really never thought of it because I'm
Mhm.
like, my life does not work like this. Like,
Yeah.
if I didn't have bad luck, I would not have any luck at all. And I've been struggling, out in LA as a struggling actor, writer, filmmaker for almost 10 years now. So when the show came up, I was kind of rolling my eyes. I was in a really bad place at the time. I went through a breakup with my ex of many, many years and was sort of rebuilding my life and wasn't in a great place. And I had never liked reality. I'd never been a reality TV dude, and I'd never been a big social media guy. Like, I'm a
Mhm.
very old soul. So once I heard the concept for this show, I was like, excuse my language. I'm like, fuck this. Like, are you kidding me? I'm not doing this. Like, this is like everything I hate. And then, the casting was like, no, like, you are perfect. You have to come in. You have to come in. So I was sort of the mindset of, okay, I'll go to the audition just to appease castings. Like, in this business, you never want to burn any bridges.
No. No, no, no.
Yeah, so it was like I'll go just to appease the casting and be like, oh, I went because how many auditions do you go on that nothing happens, right?
Exactly.
And nothing comes from it. This was that one time where they were like, no, we love you and we are not letting you go. And they did everything in their power to get me on that show. And then, by the time it started rolling, it was like, all right, I have to just roll with it, see what happens. I have no expectations. I'll probably be the first or second to leave, but I'm just going to be myself and put all of myself out there. And whenever I get blocked or am off the show, I just want to look back and be like, I have no regrets. I was 100% true to myself. And that was my mentality the whole time. So seeing that the show went the way that it did and that I ended up going not only to the finale, which was crazy to me because I was like, yo, I'm like, if you were to ask me what my definition of winning was, because I'm very competitive, get me to the finale. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can't control winning. That's out of my control. Like, there's so many factors that have to go into that. I'm not even going to
Mhm.
think about that because that's insane. But me being a competitive asshole who just always likes to win, I'm like, all right, if I make it to the end, I'm on, every episode of the show. So that's going to help with exposure and, being
Mhm.
on the entire series. And I really won. Like, I made it through everything. Like, there's nothing else you could do. So when we had the finale, I had the mindset of, dude, I'm gonna go buy a fancy suit. I want to look cute on camera, and then after that, let's go to the finale. Let's crown the winner, whoever it is. I don't have a clue. And then let's all hang out because this will be like the first time we're all actually able to be together and hang out. So it'll be dope. So I wasn't expecting to win. So that's why when you see my face when they announced me, I blacked out. Like
You're genuinely shocked. Like I could tell. Like you genuinely were very shocked.
I got like honestly, I remember like it was yesterday. I was like, I love that moment they left in the show where the host says, "I could feel your hand shaking,"
I know.
because I like in my mind, this was never like when it came down to the final two with me and Shubes, I was like, this truly never entered my brain. Like this was
Mhm.
never a possibility. I was like, all right, I'll probably be like last place, fourth place, third if I'm lucky, which is fine, like cool. But like I was like fighting for like Shubes, Sammy, like whoever out of all of us that were in the finals, like whoever would have won. I'm like, dude, all right, dope. Like we all made it together. Whoever gets it, gets it. So when it came down to that final two, I just remember thinking like, how the hell is this happening? Like isn't like this isn't real. How wait, what? Like what's going on? Like then I'm like, all right, just announce Shuby so I could hug him and tell him I love him and he deserves it because he did. And then when it was me, I like you see that look on my face.
Yeah, I saw.
I'm I was not there. I blacked out completely and like I couldn't like I'm someone who can always talk and always has something to say. I didn't have words for like 24 hours. I was in like complete shock of, what this meant, what this could do for my life, for my
Mhm.
career. Just like it's a real weird moment in life where you're so used to things going a certain way and something just magical happens that sort of changes the course of everything. And I remember afterwards we all had like a little get together with the cast and we were all hanging out for the first time. But I couldn't speak. Like,
Oh.
I legit, like, everyone's like, do you want a drink? Do you want like a cocktail? And I'm like, I can't, like, I don't have words. Like, I really don't have words. I can't talk. And I went to, my producers who were also the people who cast me, who I'd known for a while before. That's why they had come to me, and they had known I'd been through, a rough time with, things I'd gone through in my personal life. And I'm always someone who, I feel like if I don't put things out there, I'm lying about something, because
Mm-hmm.
it's on my mind, it's affecting me, and I don't ever want to seem like I'm the person who has my shit together and is perfect, because I'm human. So, they had known I'd been on, a long journey, and even this show was me stepping out of my comfort zone in a big way. And I just went to them and just started bawling my eyes out and crying and just telling them, like, I love you so much. Like, thank you so much for pushing me to do this and making me do it when I didn't want to and I wasn't really about it. And it was really just a beautiful, beautiful moment in my life that I'll hold on to forever. I think back on it all the time, and I still am just like, how did that happen?
I love that. And I love that you took that risk, and your perception of reality TV to some extent was altered. And this show, like, I'm sure you've heard people say, like, it doesn't feel like a reality TV because there's so much substance. And I love how the show beautifully combined, like, the not the superficial aspect of reality TV, but in the sense, like, the fakeness that sometimes people do have to be to have to get accepted. But the top five, besides Seaburn, you were all who you said you were. And even Seaburn, the picture was different, but that was him coming through. I'm wondering if you think that that truly does speak volumes, that the finalists were all, who they said they were.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different factors that go into it. Like, I've been a person who, if I would have saw the show, I would have been like, oh, this shit is all scripted, or a great amount of it is scripted, because the fact of the matter is the majority of reality television is scripted. I know
Yeah.
this from being in the industry. It's heightened reality, which, that's fine. It's just the way it goes. But with this show, it really was not scripted. Like, there's no bullshit about that. Like, whatever happened sort of happened, and we were really in control of where things were going. So I think it does definitely say something about, people being real. I know for a lot of people, for me on the show, like, and I'd spoken with some people at Netflix about this beforehand, and they kind of knew everything that they were doing, that I kind of fit the model in the sort of like the best way for like the first season of the show of
Mhm.
social media being not judging a book by its cover, because they obviously didn't want anyone to know I was going to win the show when it came out. So the show would come out in blocks of 4 for 3 weeks at a time. And I remember them telling me, like, you're like, you're like one of the few on the show who has an actual arc with the edit and with everything. And I'm not ever someone who's like, that's not me, like, tricky editing. Like, dude, everything you see in that show is me. Every
Yeah.
different side of my personality. It's just, what are they choosing to show you at what point in time? But it was funny to watch, like, how right they were, because I thought people were going to be so heated when they found out I won, because the first 4 episodes came out, and it would, like, legit be like, I would see on Twitter, be like, episodes 1 through 3, fuck Joey, get him out of here, fuck this kid. Then it would be like episodes 4 to 8, I will die for him, I will lay down for him, protect him at all costs. But, like, they really did a thing that it was like, the audience sort of gets on my side episode by episode, and that by the time you get to like the final couple of shows, you're like, I love him, I would love him to win, I just don't think he's gonna win. So
Mhm.
everyone really kind of got to go on that ride. And that's what was fun for me, watching it, knowing the outcome, and having to live with this secret of what happened with the show. Was just like, man, like, I'm like truly okay if people don't like me, like, and talk shit. Like, I don't care. Like, I think it's fun. Like, one of my favorite things to do is, like, when people would, like, trash talk me on Twitter, and, like, wouldn't tag me, and they'd be like, Joey's the most annoying piece of shit in the world. And I would tweet them back and be like, dude, you should talk to my sisters. They would agree. Like,
That's amazing.
because, like, you look at, here's the thing. I had some friends in the cast, who got really sensitive about, people trolling and saying really terrible things. And I mean, it's not my place or anyone's to say, like, don't feel like that. But I just feel like for me, you have to know what you're getting yourself into
Yeah.
when you go on this show. And credit to, Netflix and Studio Lambert, they let all of us know the risks. And I think it might be different. I've been in the industry for almost a decade now, so if you put yourself out there with a show like this, you can get any response. You can get people loving you, you can get people hating you, you can get all of it. If you don't have thick skin and you can't deal with it, then you shouldn't do it. I just know for me, I'm like, man, like I've been through enough shit in my life on my own, and everything. Like a 20 something 30 40-year-old man or woman or a teenager shit talking me of why I'm ugly, why they hate me, why I'm stupid or annoying. Like, dude, let's have fun with it. I don't really care. Like, you're not affecting my life, you know what I mean?
I love that you can take it with a grain of salt, because that is a hard lesson to learn. But I really did love you from the beginning. Even though I know you said some people like got on board later, but I did, because I truly thought you were a complete gentleman. Like, honestly, I don't know. I just had to tell you that, because I feel like, unfortunately, it is seen as this sign of weakness nowadays. And I don't know why, like you said. So I just wanted to make that super clear. So thank
Thank
you
you
for,
so much. I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
yeah, setting such a great example. And life since the circle, you've been busy. You have a lot of projects. I checked out your IMDb. You are very, very busy. Do you want to give any updates to whichever projects you can talk about? I know some are hush hush, but
Yeah, it's really difficult. The hard thing for me is I've always been a workaholic, and there's not enough hours a day. So
mm,
inevitably you end up spending days on the week working from this project to that one, and then going to sleep feeling unfulfilled because you realize you might have killed one, but didn't get to work on 3 or 4 other things. But what I can tell you is it's definitely been, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and be like, you've really killed it post show
yeah,
of what you're doing with your career. And I think that's something I feel really proud of, because, obviously, like when I said if I didn't have bad luck, I would have no luck at all. Like, my career takes off, everything's going amazing, everything's lined up. And right when that happens, a worldwide pandemic breaks out.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? But, honestly, even when that happened, it was like, dude, I'm so blessed just to be in the position I'm in. Let me and my manager, like, we're like, let's just move in together and just grind all day long. And that's what we did. So we were able to really keep the momentum going and things rolling. But in terms of projects, like, yeah, man, I have a lot that I can't wait to talk about with people. Number one, I had my film. It's called Young Lion of the West, and that's the film I worked on for about 7 years before The Circle was even a conversation. And that's the only reason I went on the show, was because I finally had made that independently and got it
Mm,
all done to where I was like, I have nothing to lose now. Let me go and do this. That was supposed to come out probably around this time because we had to finish post production, do everything, but pandemic happened. We also had to, wait on doing some other edits. But the good thing to that is I partnered up with a great company that I was working with through the pandemic and through quarantine that's going to come in with us and help us finish the film.
oh, nice.
Yeah, help us get it out there. I'm really hoping we can make that a Netflix original. Only time will tell. But sort of the weird thing I would say for, like, let's say if you were to watch it or the average person, is the hard thing is I never wanted to do reality TV or put myself out there, because I'm always like an old school mindset of I love actors and people where you don't know too much about them. And
Mm,
that's why you can buy into the performance. So for people who have seen me on The Circle and now my personality, who I am, they see this film and it's kind of jarring for some people because it's a very hard rated film. I play, a character that goes down some sketchy sort of roads, and it's very hard R rated. That the teenage fan base for The Circle, I think they'd be like, oh my god, what the hell is he doing if they watch this? So, there is that element to it, to where that is where my passion is. That's the type of material I love to write. So I'm excited to get that out there. That will come out for sure in 2021. In terms of
amazing.
where, we're figuring that out. I have my podcast gearing up, which is supposed to start like last year. And it was like, I didn't know if I wanted to do it like this,
Mm,
like, but I was like, I want to do it in studio because I just love that energy I can get from people. So I think it was a couple weeks ago, I was talking to the company. I was like, look, I can't wait till we can get in studio. but screw it. I'm going to go out, and I spent like almost $2,000 on my own podcast equipment and just bought everything to where I'm like, I can go to you. I got, you know, all the equipment, the mixing board, I got everything. So that's going to be dope, because if there was something I can definitely do without hesitation, it's podcasting, just talk, shooting shit with people. But there's also 2 or 3 shows that I can't say anything about that will hopefully be coming out, if not, you know, mid 2021 to later 2021. And the only reason I mentioned that sort of like in a 50-50 sense is, you know, I don't bullshit when it comes to the business. The business has ups, it has downs.
Yep.
The circle has led me to making amazing contacts, which is all I've ever wanted, of just being able to be taken serious and have opportunities for my talent and what I can bring to the table. So I have been spending the duration of the quarantine and the pandemic working with various production companies, developing these concepts for these shows. And I can say we have been pitching the shows to major networks all across the board. And at this point, it's just seeing what happens. But to be honest with you and your listeners, like the way I look at it with that type of situation is the odds are against you from the start. Like you're trying to get a show greenlit just to get a pilot shot. For those who don't know, pilot's the first episode of the show that the network orders after you shoot that and they see that. If they like it, they order another, let's say 9 to 10 to 12 episodes to do a first season to actually put it on the air. To get to that point is like,
it's so hard.
It's unreal. Like it's truly unreal. So, you know, I've talked a lot about, you know, doing other shows and having stuff, but with those are the main shows that I'm like, those are my passion ones that I really hope get out there. But there's no guarantee that the networks want to buy them or that it gets to that point. If that happens, that's like winning the lottery. What I can also say is, you know, there's been various other big shows, without naming names, like MTV sort of shows, or you know, shows like that my manager and my team and we've turned down, that it just doesn't seem like a fit for me. Like I'm not really looking forward to going on a dating show. Like that sort of has shelf life and that gets old really quick. You know, how shall we find love, or you know what I'm saying? Like that'll be fun, but it's just in terms of where I want to go with my career, it's not where my heart's at. But I can say, like, if everything goes as planned, which nothing ever does in this business, but let's
No.
hope it does, I'll be seeing me on your television screens again very, very soon.
I sure hope so. And thank you for being so transparent. I think a lot of times one of the reasons people spew so much hate, not that they should at all, but one of the reasons is because they think it's this easy thing. Like, oh, you put together this pilot. I didn't like the line this person said. Okay, that pilot took 10,000 hours, calm down. And then the fact that you're getting more episodes took another 10,000. So thanks for giving that behind the scenes. And I'm excited for your film. I know I look like I shouldn't be watching it because it's rated R. I'm actually 24, so hopefully I can handle it. We'll see.
No, honestly, what I would love to do is I have a few people on a list, just a few lists of people of where we're getting the final cuts done right now before we finish all the technical aspects of color correction, sound mixing. So I'm gonna put together probably about like 8 to 10 people and send them a private Vimeo link of the flick and just sort of let them watch it and get their feedback. Because the thing with me is like, I'm not the sensitive artist. Like the one thing I hate about people in LA is like, oh, I want you to watch something I did and tell me what you think, but really tell me how good I am and how much you love me. Like
I know
I'm
all
not
the
that
time.
yeah, like it's so uncomfortable. And the cool thing for me with my flick is it's really done everything I've wanted it to do just thus far. I've had people who get it and absolutely love it and people who absolutely hate it. And to me, that's more exciting. Like I love when someone hates something because they're so much more passionate. Like the
Yeah,
worst thing that could happen is someone watches it and they're like, yeah, it was a movie. It was good. It's whatever. Like, nah, like I'm the guy who's like, dude, if you think I suck, if you think the movie sucks, anything you think, just tell me, because honestly, as long as I feel good about the work I did, and I do, because this has been almost a decade of my life to get here, nothing anyone could say could really ruin this for me and how accomplished and proud I am of it. But I would love to get your feedback on it, because I can't wait to show it to the world and really see what people think. I can tell you, people I think are going to be not expecting it to go where it goes.
I love that. Those make for the best types of films. And yes, I definitely love to review it. And I will be honest, I promise. I will be 100% honest, because that's something you pride yourself on. But honestly, I'm sure I'll love it regardless.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, to me, when we were making it, it was a thing of talking to my partner and being like, I watch everything. Like, film is my life. I watch every single thing I could that comes out. And there are so many bad independent films that get made, like really bad. And I always tell people, you have no idea how hard it is to make a bad movie. Like, no one sets out to make a bad movie, and it is so hard to make something at all. Like, getting anything made is it's astounding how hard the process is. So we would finish each day on set and be like, as long as people watch this as a film, like as a real film, it looks like a real film. You're just following, like, if you watch this and you're like, fuck this movie because I hate the story and where it goes, great, dude. That means we did our job, because you're not sitting here going, this looks cheap, this looks terrible, I can't hear it, I can't see it. Like, and by all accounts and purposes, like, the film was budgeted at 5 to 10 million, was supposed to be a minimum of like a 45 day shoot. And my literary manager at the time was like, you guys wrote a movie that this is like your fourth movie. Like, you're filmmakers, right? Like, this is like your fourth movie in your filmography. You need to write your first movie that's like almost first time indies, like 1 to 2 locations, 3 actors, because it keeps budget low, everything. And we were so determined of like, no, like, we've been working on this 10 years. This is going to be our first movie. I don't know how it's going to be our first movie, but it's going to be. And we kind of put our minds to it. And we were like, we're making it this summer, or we're never going to make it. And I called every contact I've ever made, pitched every single person. I raised $13,000 cash, which is nothing. But for me, being dead broke, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe who the hell gave me 13 grand? This is crazy.
And you can make it go a long way. You just got to get creative.
Yeah, we filmed the entire script. We cut nothing for $13,000 cash. I called all of my friends who are working actors who have great resumes and really said, please read this. I've talked to you about this project so many times, but it's really happening. I would love for you to come play whatever, but only if you really respond to material, not just to do me a favor. So the entire cast is all working actors, with the exception of 2 local hires from Buffalo, an hour away from where I'm from. And we pulled it all off for 13 grand in a 30-day shoot. And I legit did not sleep for 3 months. I don't know, like, we cut nothing from, like, there were things in the script that people were like, this has to go. Like, for example, there's a scene that I wrote in like a holding cell or a jail. And people who read the script are like, okay, gone, because like that's immediately making your film $1 million budget. You're not going to get them. I'm like, really want to bet? I got us the biggest jail in state New York that's never had a production filming in it for free, and got access to a whole tier of cells that has never, like, that just doesn't happen. Also got us real police squad cars with real police officers in the film. Like, all these things that are just like insane of how did we do this? How did I pull this off? Like, just it's things like that to where I'm like, man, like, are there things that are wrong with the film that I wish were better, that I wish we could have done better? 100%. When you're making a film with no budget like this, guerrilla style, running from A to B, the fact that we got any of it and that it's even like watchable, it's pretty amazing. So I'm really excited just to get it out there to the world and sort of see what comes. Because I think the fun thing now for this new year, my one like key word that I'm looking forward to is diversification. I really battled this entire year, my entire team of, like, screw social media, because I'm really not that dude. And like, that's just not me. But the thing is, I want to make films, I want to act, I want to produce, I want to direct, I want to do all of that. But now you see where the ball is going. If you have amazing filmmakers, amazing actors who have to try to keep up in the social media realm, because it's such a big thing now. And it's heartbreaking, because I'm looking at them like they have no file. And I'm like, you're one of the best talents in the world, and you're trying to do this, which I understand, but they can't, get there to where I'm like, okay, that's why I have to look at this as a blessing of, let me embrace, I got this naturally before I got to the other side that I want to go.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So let me keep building that, working my ass off, because I always tell people I am that crazy son of a bitch where I will take every dollar I make from social media, and I'll fund all my own projects. Like I'm not the guy who says I want to get something made and I can't get it made. Like no, my career is my life, film is my life. I will take every dollar I make, completely fund my own shit, and not have anyone tell me what I can or can't do. So that's what I look forward to doing in the future. So I'm really going to embrace everything social media wise, attack it 100%, give it my all, see what comes from that, and take it from there. But I really do think that 2021 is going to be a really interesting year after 2020.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you. This is such a random question, but you said you're from Buffalo, and it reminded me. My roommate's from Rochester.
That's where I'm from.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I couldn't remember. What the heck is the deal with Wegmans? Why is it all she talks
about? Wegmans is crack cocaine in the best way. Like it is everything. It is unbelievable. It's the best. Like I just find it so funny. Like out here, everyone's like Ralph's, and I'm like, get the hell out of here with your Ralph's. Like Wegmans has everything, all the food. Like my God, I'm on a diet right now to lose all this quarantine weight. But like when you said that, all I'm thinking about is the subs. Oh my God, subs are unbelievable. Like I can't like describe it. Besides, it's just there's no grocery store that will ever compare to Wegmans. It has every single thing. Everything is top notch. And my favorite thing is I could be a kid from Rochester and say the same thing, but every person who visits Rochester, stays there for a period of time, and goes to Wegmans leaves saying like, Wegmans, dude, Wegmans, what? Yo, Wegmans. I'm like, I know, bro. I know.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
Okay,
so wait, where's your roommate from in Rochester?
Webster?
Webster? I used to work in Webster. I hated Webster kids growing up, bro. So there was always these rivalries like when we were kids. Like it was like Hilton and Greece and all these kids, like, and we like all hated like the Webster kids or the Fairport kids. Like, like those little just like, yeah, like it's like East versus West. You know what I mean? Like all that type of stuff. Like even like Victor and all those kids, it was like screw all those kids. But that's dope. How old is your roommate?
She's 23. She went to Webster Thomas for high school, and there was a rivalry with the other big high school in Webster. She's
Fairport?
talking about this.
I'm wondering if it's Fairport or Victor, but Webster Thomas, that's so funny. I knew a lot of kids went to Webster. I mean, like I'm sure that we got to know some of the same people because Rochester it's like LA. It's such a small bubble, you know?
Yeah, I'll have to ask her like which school or area she remembers like being the main rivalry, and then
you gotta tell her I used to work at before I moved to LA. I worked in Webster at the comedy club across the street from AMC Theater. It was the comedy club at Daisy Dukes. So like the bar was called Daisy Dukes and the comedy club was connected to it. That's where I worked right before I moved to LA for like a year and a half with my uncle's old business partner who opened up a comedy club right out there. So I was in Webster every single day essentially after school work.
That's amazing. I just texted her. She might be working right now, but if she doesn't get back, I'll DM you or something after.
So wait, where do you guys live? What part of town?
So we live in Playa Vista. It's right next to LAX.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're kind of away from like the hustle and bustle of LA, but I still love going to like West Hollywood and Hollywood. I love those areas. You're in Hollywood, right?
I'm in North Hollywood. So I was in Studio City for about 7 years, and then I moved a year and a half ago. Actually, when I first had gotten back from the show, it was the first time I stepped foot in my new apartment. I took it right off of the floor plan because my lease was up. I needed a new place, and my buddy and the moving people moved me while I was filming the show. So I came back and stepped foot in my new joint right after I won for the first time. So it's been about a year and a half.
Oh, that's so cool. She just said that place is great. I told her about AMC, and I'm asking her which school she was rivals with.
That's so funny. How do you like Playa Vista? Is that a nice area? Like, is it chill?
It's really chill. It's gorgeous. You can walk everywhere. Like there's a Whole Foods. It's a bougie area, but not for people like me. Like I live very frugally. I have 2 roommates, small 2-bedroom apartment, but it's really, really nice. There's gorgeous soccer fields, there's tons of parks.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm thinking of making a move at some point just because like I just feel like it doesn't matter where you go, but you try to think it does. Like everything is so damn expensive
It's
out here.
insane.
It's really it's like it's so insane. I don't know how any of us get by. Like I just think back to like all these years I've been struggling, and even so, like there's been nothing with any of this that's changed my mentality. Like, oh, I got it now, I'm good. Like, no, it's almost like worse when you finally kind of get away because you're just waiting for it to go away. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Where you're like, yeah, this has been great. This is awesome, but it's going to go away and disappear at a certain point. So I got to just keep working and keep things going because, the fact of the matter is, I've never been someone who thinks like, oh shit, I made it. I'm good. Here I am. Like, nah, dude, like as far as for the public is concerned, they only know me as a kid from that reality competition show that I won. So it's very easy to get flash in the pan because season 2 is coming out this year. And other people are always gonna break to where they don't know I've been in the business 10 years and where my real passions lie and everything. So that's why it's been for me more so instead of embracing social media as much, it's been trying to embrace the actual industry side of things because I am comfortable with that. And I know that to say I can prove myself. I have talent. I know the way things work. I know professionalism on set with my career. So it's going to be interesting to see how that translates. But I think, for people listening, especially if you want to get in the business, people always ask me, what's your advice? I want to be a model. I want to be an actor. I want to be a writer. I want to be this. I want to be that. One of my favorite actors of all time, who's also from Rochester, from Fairport, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who passed away, had a great quote that I've held on to for years, which is, if you're getting into this for the money or the fame, do something else.
Yes.
You have to love this so much that it doesn't make sense, because I truly believe for all of us who have stuck with this, we are all insane. Like we are mentally insane because there's no reason all of us should maintain grinding how we do,
Hmm.
dreaming and hoping like we do, when you just go through years of nothing but rejection, years of no progress made. Like people used to tell me, you should have a 5-year plan, or what's your plan B? And I would tell them, I don't have a plan B. I don't have, like, I know what I want to do. I used to call my parents crying my eyes out, depressed as hell. Like, and they'd be like, then just come home, like frustrated, like just come home. And I'd be like, you don't understand. It's not that I'm depressed. I want, and I'm thinking about coming home. It's the fact that I know my potential. I know what I'm capable of. I'm working my ass off to the bone, and I'm getting nowhere. And that this could be the rest of my life. Like that's really hard shit to deal with, but you find ways to try to feel better, of like telling yourself, like, at the end of the day, I could go nowhere in my career, but I can at least look myself in the mirror and say I've lived my life on my own terms, which not many people can.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to do well and to do what you love. And there's a million other people, but had I've had a backup plan or a plan B, I wouldn't be here. And no matter what happens for the rest of my career, whatever ups I have, whatever downs I have, this is it. Like, I'm here. This is what I'm gonna do. Whether it's going back to slinging drinks, like doing that again, which is what was hard before. I used to work 6-7 nights a week, depending, till 4 o'clock in the morning. And working full time, I worked at the oldest gay bar in LA, Oil Can Harry's. Fantastic place. I was the first straight kid to ever work there. I actually, they all break my balls. Yeah, they all break my balls to this day because I started working there when I was underage. I lied about my age, hoping they didn't ask for my ID, and they didn't. And then I finally turned 21. So, and then like we all laugh about it now, but that place was like my home. But I would always tell people that was my free time, because when you're working that much, like, you're talking how expensive it is out here. You got to have rent covered, bills, groceries. So you're working your ass off just to maintain, to where it's like, I didn't move to LA to be a bartender.
Yeah.
So all of my actual time I'm not working, I have to be working. So you do that for years and years and years, dude. It's a grind, man. So for anyone listening who has a dream, who knows, like, if this is something to where you're like, I want to give it a shot, I want to try it, or I want to be famous, I want money, like, go to college, do something,
Yes.
like, do something. If this has been your lifelong passion and you know there is nothing else for you, there is nothing else that's going to fulfill you, you are willing to die for your career, to whatever it takes. Get your ass to LA, because you'll be surrounded by a lot of people who are like you, who are struggling, and you can all commiserate together. But I think it's something I always try to be transparent about, especially that people look at me now. Dude, it's really strange, man. Like, we've all struggled, but like, once you get a break, it's so strange how people look at you differently and treat you
I've seen it
differently.
firsthand.
Like, dude, it's insane. Like, I've had so many people kiss my ass, just treat me so differently. Like, and I always tell people, there has been nothing about this that has changed me as a person.
Hmm.
It's changed how people treat me, not how I treat people. But to finally struggle so many years and finally get a break, just to see how the tide sort of shifts and how people start treating you, acting towards you, it's really trippy, man. So that's why, like, whenever it comes to putting shit with my own life out there, I got to be honest about it, because I was the kid who was a dreamer my entire life, who always knew it. I went to sleep with tears in my eyes, listening to music, thinking of scenes that I want to write, things I want to do. Like, that was my aspirations. That's what, still to this day keeps me going. And I always looked at people I admired for, advice and things to keep me going. Like, I remember I met Adam Sandler in Central Park when I was like a freshman in high school, and he had nothing. I told him I was moving to LA, and I would love to be on set with him one day. And he had like nothing but great words for people. You can go on my Instagram and see the picture I posted with him from when
Oh, I
I
have
was,
to find it.
yeah, I was like probably 14 at the time. And then I remember it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, one of my friends worked for a big distribution company out here for the movie that ended up winning Best Picture that year, Spotlight. And he called
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, and he called me and said, "Do you want to go to the Directors Guild for the premiere?" And I said, "Fuck yeah, like, let's go."
Huge.
So I go there. I meet Mark Ruffalo, who was amazing, Rachel McAdams, all of them. But the director of that movie, Tom McCarthy, did a flick with Adam Sandler called The Cobbler. And all of a sudden, we come out, and it's a suit and tie event. All of a sudden, uh, we're all stumbling out of the theater, and then everyone's suit and tie, and then you see a long pair of purple basketball shorts,
Wonder
uh,
who it could
a,
be.
a pink shirt with some other weird colored like zip up, and it's Sandler. And I'm the guy who's never hesitated to go up to someone, because I'm not the guy who's like, let me get a picture. Like, if I'm a real fan of your work, I'm going to talk to you in a way that, like, I genuinely appreciate, like, your
Mhm.
work has inspired me. And I went up to him and I was like, Adam, I don't mean to, to bother you. I said, about 5 or 6 years ago, I met you in Central Park. You were with your wife and kids. I was probably really rude by coming up to you at that point. You didn't want to be bothered, but I told you I was moving out here. I had the same dreams that you always had, and that by your story of what you did in your career and how much you believed in yourself really inspired me that I could do it and I can get through the tough times. And you had really kind words that really kept me going during some dark times out here. And he was like, buddy, he's like, buddy, that's fucking amazing. What's your name again? What's your name again?
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, Joey Sasso. And he's like, Sasso. He's like, that's fucking amazing, man. He's like, whatever I told you. He's like, whatever I told you. Like, and he shook my hand. He's like, whatever I told you, like, keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, but to tell you the truth, man, like, you have been my idol since I was a kid in that realm. And to be at a place where I was meeting you in Central Park, a kid from Rochester, and you're the biggest movie star in the world
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
7, 8 years, however many years later, like, I'm still broke, I'm still struggling, but my name is on the same list of yours of being able to get in the door for an event. Like, and be able to talk to you and say thank you so much. Like, it's those things, those accomplishments that really, if you're in this business struggling, take you so far. And he was just such a sweetheart of a guy. And he was like, buddy, just keep killing it. Keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna be great. I hope we work together one day. And I'm just like, man, like, people say like, fuck this guy, his movies suck. Like, no, that's why he's been able to have the career he has, because he's extremely talented and
Mhm.
he's a likable guy who's not a dick. None of it's gone to his head.
Exactly. What a
People,
concept, right?
yeah, like, people want to work with him. But I always tell people stories like that, man, because I've looked at people I'm inspired by and I go, How did they get their break? What have they, what have they gone through? And a lot of times people don't share that stuff. And to be the kid who's always been a fan, to now have people who hopefully support me and want to keep up with me and what I'm doing, I want to put it all out there because, I think there is something for people even watching this interview. You see me on a screen, you see me on television. There's an allure that happens there that we put people on a pedestal of thinking that they're something more. And I never want to be that dude. I'm exactly like you. I was a kid from a blue collar town that had a dream since I was a kid. I knew nobody in Los Angeles. I moved out here at 18 years old, right out of high school. I was a bus boy for 2 years, making $0, making no money, couldn't even survive, couldn't take care of myself, struggling, putting myself through every acting class you can imagine, trying to make every contact to never get anywhere. Like, I want to put that out there for the kid, the young boy or the young girl sitting in their room watching this, who has the seed of a dream in their head and goes, I want to accomplish something. I want to do something, but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I can do that. Who do I know? I'm from East Bumfuck. I'm not from Los Angeles. I don't know anyone in that. Like, I always tell people, I want them to look at me and be like, if that idiot can do it, I can do it, which you can, man. Like, I really believe you set your mind to anything in this world. If you really want it bad enough, it's going to happen for you because, looking at my own career as an example, there's been nothing that's really happened besides those little accomplishments that only I know that will keep me going for, moments in time. And, it's those things to where it's like, if you really do love it that much, you're going to make it happen. Like, the amount of people that have reached out to me after the show came out, like A-list people that I've, been fans of and admired for many, many years, and watched this and really wanted to get to know me and see what I want to do in my career. It's insane. And you never know what's going to happen. You never know where, something is going to take you. That's why I've tried to look at everything as a learning experience. I didn't want to do this show. I was not
at all.
No, I wasn't excited about it. I wanted nothing to do with it. My father and mother were like, get your fucking ass on that plane and do that fucking show. Right? Like, go do it. And I was like, okay, all right. Like, I guess I'm going to do it, thinking my career is going to, and even until the show came out, I tell people, I thought this was going to be the biggest flop in Netflix history. Like,
no way.
Because I'm telling you, when you're watching it, it's dope. But when you think of the concept and you're there doing it, you're like, I don't know reality TV very well, but all I think of is fighting, drama, hooking up, all that. And we're sitting there and no one's fighting, no one's hooked, no one can even meet each other. And I'm sitting there like, oh God, this is going to be such a flop. But what I didn't know is that's why everyone embraced it and embraced the cast, is because it wasn't that. It wasn't those things. And, it's sometimes you got to get out of your own way and just take every single shot that comes your way and give it 110% and see what happens. Because I've done it, it's that old thing of you can do something 99 times and fail, but that one time it works, it changes everything. And I'm a testament to that. It really changed my entire life. And it's been able to open up a door and give me relationships to hopefully have a sustained career that can go for a very long period of time.
I think you're well on your way to it going for a long period of time. I mean, it already is with everything you have going on. I just had a couple more things. Are you good, or do you need to go?
Honey, I'm an open book. Ask me whatever you'd like.
Amazing. That's like music to my ears. I wanted to touch on, you noted some inspirations of yours, like Adam Sandler and whatnot, but also Robert De Niro. And I agree, you totally look like a young version of him. You're gonna hate me. I interviewed him once. He's amazing. So I know, I was like, I told my mom, I'm like, should I even bring that up, or am I just gonna make him so jealous? And my mom's like,
no, but I'm actually more surprised that you said he's a good interview, because I've just heard the opposite, that whenever you hear people, and I've studied him, Scorsese, like they're my biggest idols of all time, but for years of studying him, people who know him constantly just make jokes of how he has really no personality and is very quiet and a notorious, very difficult interview. So to hear that, he was a good interview, that's kind of awesome.
I can see why people would say that. To give you context, we were at an event, a charity event, and we were talking about the importance of education, especially for actors, to have that backup plan. And he starts answering the question. And then he looks at my videographer, my roommate's camera, which is just a standard like Nikon camera. And he's like, whoa, that's a nice camera. What camera is that? And it is like it's a nice camera, but by no means is it something he hasn't seen before. And he just starts like talking about that. And he's like, yeah, your question kind of stumped me. I'm like, how many people can say they've stumped Robert De Niro? So I was fine with it, but I get why people would say that.
Yeah, I would love to meet him, and it's actually been so cool. Like I remember during the quarantine, my manager has Google notifications on for me. I like never Google myself. I'd never had like thought to do that, but he like woke me up one day, and I forget what article it was, but it was like some site basically was saying about the Irishman, how they should have cast me to play the young version of his character, which most people don't know. I was actually trying to get cast for that like 3 years ago, calling up Ellen Lewis's casting office, sending all my materials in, calling I have a friend of mine who works for Tom Hanks's company, Playtone, and they work with her company all the time. So I'm like trying to do like at the very least, I'm like, if I don't get cast for that role, like just let that be the thing that gets me in the door with my look, accent, everything. Like there's something I can do in this thing. But it was something like that I was like, all that mentioned, only thing about The Circle was that I was from The Circle, besides that, but I'm an actor, look like a young De Niro, which I really don't know for me if it's a real thing of that, or if people just don't see a lot of like, Italian New Yorkers out here. But there is one picture I always tell people that like my boy sent me back in the day. If you Google like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, 70s, there's like this black and white photo of them standing side by side, and it literally looks just like me and my big old schnoz and everything. Like it's weird.
Oh, I have to look that up. That's amazing. That's amazing. I have not seen that one. But no, I do see the resemblance, but I get what you're saying. If someone hadn't pointed it out to me, I probably wouldn't have. But
yeah,
when someone said it, like I totally see it. So
that's so dope. You got to meet him. I'm so jealous.
I know. I was like, do I even say something? I should have gone with what my mom said. No,
that's so awesome. I can't wait for their new film. Scorsese and him are working again with DiCaprio. It's going to be the first time DiCaprio and De Niro have worked together since 1993 in this boy's life, on adaptation of this book called Killers of the Flower Moon. And they were supposed to start filming last year. Pandemic hit, also script changes. And I follow, like, this is what I do all day long. I just follow projects and things.
I love that.
So I cannot wait for that to happen, because, to me, if you ask me what my favorite film of all time is, I always say Goodfellas. It's everything I love about cinema, but it's always, to me, every Scorsese De Niro collaboration is truly my favorite offerings of cinema, because it's kind of everything I love in a different way.
Yeah.
Executed like that. And then every Scorsese DiCaprio collaboration, because DiCaprio, for all intents and purposes, he is the De Niro of our generation. He is the best of this generation. And like a lot of things, it's like him and Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. What pisses me off is they don't get the respect they deserve because they're good looking. And it's like, I don't care how handsome someone, like, they're that fucking good. Like, I've had friends argue with me like, DiCaprio's the same in every movie. I'm like, dog, do you understand? He is so goddamn good that you think he's the same in every movie because it looks that effortless. Like,
yeah, that's actually a good thing if you can say.
Yeah, like that's but most people don't get it. But yeah, that's what I do all day long. I just get wrapped up of studying these people that I love and I'm inspired by.
No, that's amazing, and that's such a great use of your time, because a lot of people, they just want to get there, but they don't want to do that work to get there. And there's so much benefits in scene study and script study and all that stuff, and watching interviews. So I think that's also, anyone listening, something very important. You don't just go here and get an agent and audition. There's a lot of other 10,000 steps that you have to consider.
You got to know your craft. You got to know your industry. And I can tell you, from someone who's been obsessed with that since I was a kid, it's really opened doors for me and made people take attention to me over the years, when I've been in rooms with people and can talk about things very intelligently and hold my own with a kid, being a kid with no resume. Like, a lot of people don't know, like, one of my favorite producers of all time is Jason Blumhouse Productions. And I got into an internship about 4 or 5 years ago at Blumhouse by pitching Jason at a film festival that I went to a screening at this film festival in LA called Beyond Fest. And the horror genre will always be my favorite genre because I wanted to be a director since I was a kid. Before I wanted to be an actor, like Wes Craven, John Carpenter, Toby Hooper, all these people were my heroes. And what Jason and his company had did for independent filmmakers and for just horror in general was just so groundbreaking. And they made a remake of the 70s, I think it's 60s or 70s, low budget horror flick called The Town That Dreaded Sundown. It was a free screening, and Jason was going to be there for a Q&A. And my partner Josh, who I made my movie with, he's my writing partner. I'm like, we have to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I see Jason, and after he finishes the Q&A, everyone's trying to swarm him.
Of course.
I somehow get my way up to him and had about 20 seconds to pitch him of just like how much I love his company, hit some facts of what he's done for budgets, keeping things low for creative artists to be able to make their own films. And this all this shit, I hit him in like 30 seconds as quick as I could. And he looked at me and he was like, wow. He was like, do you have a card on you? And thank God I did.
Oh my
And
gosh.
handed it to his assistant, and then I think it was probably a week or two later, I got an email for an invitation for an internship at Blumhouse. And I remember, like, it's those things where I was losing my mind, like screaming, like calling my friends, like, this is insane. And then it was like, you have to be a college student. I've never been to college a day in my life. I had to go to LA Community College, bullshit. Like I had to like register just to say I'm a college kid.
Oh yeah.
Went there, interviewed. I was the only kid who really had the passion for like horror and for the industry. Most of these kids are college kids
Yeah.
just trying to do stuff. And they were like, how, okay, you like be here 1 or 2 days a week. How many days you want to be here? And I was like 5 or 6. And they were like, but like, you can only do 1 or 2. I'm like, I want to do 5 or 6 though. And what ended up happening was, I think it was my first day there. You know, your job is to read scripts, put groceries away, do all things like that, intern stuff. The head from the office came up and was like, someone needs to give one of our directors a ride home. And before she even finished, my hand shot up. And long story short, it ended up being Kieran Foy, who directed Sinister 2, and he became one of my closest mentors and allies in the business. And he had moved from Ireland with his wife and didn't have a license in the US and directed this film. So I ended up becoming his like assistant essentially for like a couple of years, just driving him to every meeting, hearing everything that's going on behind closed doors, him turning to me for advice on things in his career and stuff that, you know, for that to happen for a guy who's actually working, making it happen, like it just gives you so much fuel to your fire and seeing the process. So like a lot of people have asked me on my IMDb, like, why do you have a special thanks for Sinister 2? And it's because I worked with Kieran for, you know, that whole process. And, you know, we really became great friends. Like I always tell people, like, I'll never forget the first day we went to test screenings together and I got to see the audience reactions to where they had to reshoot to get the scores up, everything. And like day one of the reviews coming out, and they had gotten like fucking destroyed on Rotten Tomatoes, like absolutely obliterated, like maybe like a 9%. And Kieran sitting in the front seat of my car reading it, like tears in his eyes. And he's like, is it really that bad? Is it really that? And I told him, I'm like, dude, I fucking love your movie. Like I'm not bullshitting. If I don't like something, I'll tell you, but I know what he also had to go through to get it made and all the hurdles and shit, which most people never know. And I'm like, you fucking killed it. And this is going to do everything for your career that you wanted to do. So, you know, a lot of people don't know, you know, that aspect as well. And people would look at me at the internship and be like, you don't want to be, you know, in this side of the business. Like, why are you here? Like, you're an actor. Like, why? I'm like, because I want to make films and I don't want to just act in them. I want to make them myself. And looking at the model that Jason has created in this company is amazing that I can implement for myself. And I did when I made my film, and they actually offered me a job. What would have been a job, you know, very low starting, but I probably could have been a lot higher in the business at this point, just years ago. And I turned it down. And people thought I was fucking nuts because I'm working at a bar broke. And they're like, dude, like, you've proven yourself. You know what you're doing. This could change your life. But what I learned from that experience was I gained so much experience on how to execute and make things. But essentially, if I would have done that, that's no different to me than taking a 9 to 5 office job in Rochester where you're dealing with just paperwork and stuff, and that's not where my heart's at. My heart's at the creative side of things.
Yeah, that's not where you were meant to be. And I'm so glad you found where you were meant to be and executed it. That's, again, it's so powerful. Like, I'm just taking in everything you're saying. So sorry if I'm not like responding that much. It's just because I'm like so enamored with what you're saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, music to
No,
my ears.
it's all good, man. There's been a lot, and just, I mean, I just always think about things as I am that dude who spends all day researching people and listening to interviews, and when you're especially a fan of someone or follow someone, like, you get to hear the same talking points in each interview, and you're always kind of, it's like chasing a high of looking for that new piece of information that
Yes.
that really keeps you going. So I always try to be just as upfront and honest about as much shit as I can, because I think it like just gets old just to hear the same stock answers that anyone could say in every interview over and over again.
Yeah, and hopefully I asked a few new questions. I did my research first, and
I swear to God, I'm not even just saying this because we're talking right now. This has been the most fun, best interview I've done, and I would say all year long. I haven't done many because I was back in New York for like 3 months. I've just been doing meetings and shit, but you know, a lot of the stuff I've done, anyone who wants to talk and have me on their show, for the most part, absolutely, I'll come on. But most people I think just look at it as like, oh, you have a following, that'll get me a following. Let me ask the same shit, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to tell someone how to do their thing, but
of course.
just as being someone who's also a fan of interviews and watching how some people have interviewed me and asked me shit, it's just like, dude, like, you're not even trying. Like,
I know.
you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much more that you can go into with people. But no, God's honest truth, this has been like my favorite interview I've done all year long. It's been so much fun.
Oh, thank you so much. Don't make me cry. Although crying's okay.
It
I
is
caught
okay.
myself. I'm like, wait, no, crying's okay, but you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Crying's always okay.
Well, thank you again, seriously, like so much. And when it's safe in LA, I would love, love, love to do a follow-up in-person interview. That would be so fun. I can wear my glitter for you and like all my fun tattoos. I'll look about 12, but
Dude, I am so down, and you got my number, and look at whether it's anything you need from me that I can help you with career-wise, anything or advice, never hesitate to reach out. And also, just if you want to just shoot the shit and just talk, especially that we're all getting locked down again, it just sucks. Just a lot of times I have 25 different things going on, but I promise as soon as I have, you hit me up as soon as I see it or have the time, I'll get back to you immediately. I think you're fucking dope and you're a great person. Love what you do. Think you're extremely talented. Keep doing what you're doing, and you'll just keep growing. I know it's hard. We all push, and going to bed at night sometimes can get really difficult and feel like we're not getting anywhere. But take it from someone from the outside, looking in. You're fucking killing it. You're gonna keep killing it, and just keep doing what you're doing.
oh, and you too. Keep doing everything you're doing. I know it's a lot, but I don't want you to give up on any of your multiple passions. Keep that diversification going. I think that's the word you used, right?
Diversification.
Do you just want to give again, because you are an actor but also a social media star? I'm sorry, I do have to ask. Can
Yeah.
you give all your social media links, including TikTok, by the way?
Yes. Let me just check them just to make sure, because I promise I am so bad at social media and remembering all this shit. Hold on.
No worries. I'll help you check. You have an underscore on
Yep.
Instagram, I think.
I think, okay.
No,
You
no
want,
underscore on Instagram.
if you want to follow me on Twitter and Snapchat, it's at Joey_Sasso_key. Snapchat and Twitter. If you want to follow me on TikTok or on Instagram, it's at Joey Sasso, no underscore. And if you're one of those people who wants to, do the old Facebook thing, hit my page over there at Joey Sasso. And I am that weird dude who does respond to DMs and comments. Oh, if you go to my post, my feed post, you'll see I basically respond to almost every single person. And I spend all of my free time messaging people back. So I've messaged thousands upon thousands upon thousands. So if you really want to reach out and you want to talk, like, hit me up. Just don't be like, now I get people, since I've started saying that, they're like, thousands just being like, just seeing if you really message back. And I'm like, yes, dude, I really do. But like,
Mm.
whenever I have free time or I literally have like a minute of downtime or I get in bed at night, I will spend 4 or 5 hours responding back to everyone. I only post a new thing when I have time to respond to people. So
Oh my
if,
gosh.
yeah, if you want to hit me up and you want to talk or anything you want to say, anything, I will see it. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I love talking to everyone from around the world about anything you like. So just hit me up whenever.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, and I can validate you do respond because I remember when I first asked you for the interview, you said, "Oh yeah, I hit up my manager." So no
Yeah,
one needs to like test Joey on that. He truly does respond. I can attest to it. Awesome. Well, thank you again so kindly. This was so much fun and very refreshing to have a little sit down chat. So,
absolutely, honey. I had such a good time with you. Thank you. And please hit me up. We'll definitely kick it and talk. I promise you.
oh, I will. When I'm back in LA, I'll let you know. Hopefully in January I'll be back. I'm in San Diego right now, but hopefully and then you'll have to come check out Playa Vista. It's a
I
really
would
fun
love to.
area.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you again. Have an awesome rest of your day.
You too, honey. Bye bye.
Bye.